Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Korean ebook before it's gone. Hello, and welcome to Introduction to Korean. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hui. In this series, you'll learn everything you need to know to get started learning Korean.
That's right, and we're here to help guide you through your journey. In this lesson, you'll learn why you should start learning a new language, why it should be Korean in particular, and how to get started.
Let's begin with the most obvious question. Why learn a new language?
There are countless reasons, but perhaps the biggest one of all is that it could actually change your life. Learning a new language unlocks new pathways that are off limits to you now. There are certain things that you simply cannot do without having the technical or cultural skills that come from learning a new language.
Like working or living in another country.
Knowing another language provides you with greater job opportunities. It gives you the freedom to move to another country halfway around the world to earn a living, or better yet, build a career from it, rather than being stuck in one place. Language allows you to visit or live in places that you may never have even considered going simply because that wasn't a possibility for you. Knowing another language simply gives you more options to choose from.
And learning a new language also helps you to be more open-minded and see the world from a new perspective.
Language and culture go hand in hand. The world is a big place, and by broadening your understanding of other cultures, it allows you to be more empathetic and understanding of the many different ways that people live their lives. With language, you're able to see and experience more, which helps you to grow as a person.
Learning a new language also improves your memory.
Several studies have consistently shown that those who study another language have improved memory as opposed to those who didn't learn another language. Learning another language also keeps your brain healthy by significantly delaying the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. This difference can be as much as 4 to 5 more years of quality life.
And those are just some of the reasons you should learn another language. The list just goes on and on.
Now you know the benefits of studying another language, but why should you learn Korean in particular?
Have you heard of Gangnam Style, the biggest hit song in 2012? The hit drama My Love from the Stars? Or popular boy bands Big Bang or EXO? The one thing they all have in common is that they are all part of Korean pop culture.
Korean pop culture is trending worldwide. K-pop artists are performing to sold-out shows all over the world. Korean dramas and movies are being remade, not just in Asia, but in Western countries as well, such as the United States.
K-pop stars also influence the fashion industry, as the clothing and accessories worn by K-pop singers and TV stars tend to sell out instantly worldwide.
Learning Korean, then, will allow you to take in all that Korean pop culture has to offer.
And contrary to popular belief, Korean is not a difficult language. Unlike some other Asian languages which require you to learn thousands of characters, Korean characters, known as Hangul, acts more like an alphabet, so it's much easier to learn.
And did you know that Korea is one of the highest-ranked countries in terms of innovation?
That's right. Korea is one of the most innovative countries in the world. It's also one of the largest economies in Asia. But did you also know that Korea is one of the easiest countries in the world to do business in?
Korea is one of the top-ranking countries in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index, meaning it's very easy for foreign companies to do business in Korea.
Knowing Korean opens up many business opportunities. Understanding the language, the business etiquette, and work culture in Korea is essential in achieving success in the world of business. Oftentimes, it could even make or break an important business deal. Knowing Korean will put you ahead of the pack.
Okay then, we've talked about why you should start learning a language and why you should start learning Korean, but how should they get started, Jay?
Well, it's as simple as learning your first word in Korean and building up from there.
The good news, though, is that you already know some Korean.
피자, 아이스크림, 데이트.
There are many English loanwords that are used in Korean today. Even without teaching you any Korean, there's a good chance that you'll still recognize these Korean loanwords.
Let's teach you something that you might not know, but it's very useful. 반가워요. It means nice to meet you in Korean.
That's a useful phrase. Can you explain a little bit about what these characters are, though?
Sure. That's actually the Korean alphabet that we mentioned earlier called Hangul. And 반가워요 is a good phrase to know as it shows the various ways Hangul can be written, with a 받침 arranged horizontally from left to right, using a combination of two vowels and arranged top to bottom.
You'll learn about the grammatical rules and the writing system eventually, but for now, let's focus on practicing this phrase. Listen and repeat after Jay.
반가워요.
Now you try.
반가워요.
Your turn again.
반가워요.
Well done. Now you know how to say nice to meet you in Korean. We've covered a lot of things already, so why don't we wrap up the first lesson and recap what we've learned? In this lesson, you learned that studying another language has many benefits, such as providing new job and business opportunities. Learning Korean will help you understand more about Korean pop culture. And to say nice to meet you in Korean, it's
반가워요.
In the next lesson, we're going to demystify Korean pronunciation by taking a look at the sounds of Korean, so be sure to watch the next video. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
다음에 또 만나요.
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Korean. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hui.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Korean pronunciation. Pronunciation refers to the manner in which a word is spoken, so don't focus on reading what's on screen. Instead, focus on listening and repeating. Korean is referred to as a syllable-timed language. What this means is that the syllables in Korean follow each other at regular intervals, usually with the same amount of time allocated for each syllable.
고마워요. 고마워요.
Each syllable is pronounced for an equal amount of time.
고마워요.
Since Korean is a syllable-timed language, there is no word stress. English, on the other hand, is a stress-timed language. Syllables that are stressed are valued greater than syllables that are unstressed. Individual. The stressed syllable vi in individual is deemed more important, so it's pronounced longer than all other syllables. Listen to it again. Individual. This gives English a Morse code-like rhythm, where the pace is sometimes fast and at other times slow. Compare this once again with Korean, which is even throughout.
고마워요.
Individual.
고마워요. 고마워요.
When pronouncing Korean words, focus on giving equal time to each syllable as you say the characters out loud. There are 10 basic vowel sounds in Korean, which are used to create a total of 21 vowel sound combinations. Let's take a look at how some of the basic vowels are pronounced.
아, 어, 오, 우, 으, 이.
There are also iotized vowel sounds in Korean. This simply means that there's an added Y sound.
야, 여, 요, 유.
Finally, there are diphthongs, which are two vowels pronounced closely together to form a gliding sound.
와, 워.
These are some of the basic vowel sounds in Korean. There are 14 basic consonants that produce a total 19 consonant sounds in Korean. All of these sounds are categorized into nasal, plain, aspirated, or tense sounds. You can think of these categories as going from soft to harder sounding consonants. Nasal consonants are consonant sounds which are pronounced through the nose. These consist of M, N, and NG type sounds.
느, 무, 으.
Plain consonant sounds are called that because they do not have special features added to them. Think of the T sound in stand or the P sound in span.
그, 드, 브, 스, 즈.
Aspirated consonant sounds, on the other hand, have an added turbulent sound. These sounds are like the English T sounds in tuck or take or the P in puck.
크, 트, 프, 츠, 흐.
Aspirated sounds are pronounced with a big burst of air, unlike plain sounds which do not have this quality. Compare the two categories of sounds.
그, 크, 느, 트, 브, 프.
Tense consonants, also known as double consonants, are pronounced with a stiffer voice. More pressure is built up and it's released much more quickly than plain sounds.
끄, 뜨, 뿌, 스, 쯔,
Korean has a handful of sounds that are similar to English. They're not identical, however, so don't make the mistake of pronouncing them as such.
One of the most unique sounds in Korean is the consonant 리을, 르.
This consonant is often romanized as an R or an L, but there isn't an equivalent sound in English.
라마,
This sound is actually somewhere between an L and an R sound. When pronouncing this sound, your tongue should strike the gum ridge behind your upper teeth in a quick, rapid motion. Listen and repeat after J.
르, 르, 라마, 라마.
Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Korean is a syllable-timed language. You also learned the different categories for vowel and consonant sounds in Korean. And you discovered that there are some consonant sounds which do not have an English equivalent. We've covered only the basics of Korean pronunciation. If you're interested in learning more, check out the entire course we created named the Ultimate Korean Pronunciation Guide. In that course, we cover and break down all the sounds in the Korean language, showing you mouth and tongue positioning and giving you tips to help you perfect your Korean pronunciation. In the next lesson, we'll introduce you to the basics of Korean grammar, where you'll learn about Korean word order and how to build basic phrases in Korean. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
다음에 또 만나요.
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Korean. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hee.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Korean grammar. Word order refers to the order in which words are structured to form a sentence in a given language. Consider the English sentence, I saw a movie. But first, let's remove the article a here for simplicity. So we're just left with I saw movie. The basic word order for English is subject, verb, object, or SVO for short. If we break down the English sentence, I saw a movie, we can see that the subject I is presented first, followed by the verb saw, and then finally the object movie is positioned last. This is the basic word order for sentences in English.
Now, let's compare the same sentence, I saw a movie, in Korean. 나는 영화를 봤어요. If we break down the Korean sentence, we get the subject 나, meaning I, then comes the object 영화, meaning movie, and finally we have the verb 봤어요, meaning saw. The word order for Korean then is subject, object, verb, or SOV for short.
In both languages, the subject is presented first. In English, though, it's followed by the verb and then the object, compared to the object being first and the verb last in Korean. The same sentence in Korean is essentially I movie saw, subject first, then object, and verb last, SOV. This is the basic word order for sentences in Korean.
Okay, let's move on to the next section.
English is what is called a subject-prominent language. This simply means that the subject is slightly more important than other components in the sentence. It's the key piece of information other components in the sentence relate to. Who is doing the action is slightly more important than what is being done or which object it's been done to in English. If we had to slowly remove pieces of information from a sentence while trying to keep its essence intact, logically we would do so in order of least important to most important. If we were to omit the subject, we would get saw a movie, which sounds strange. On the other hand, if we were to omit the object instead, the sentence would become I saw. Even though in each instance we omitted a piece of information, the reason I saw sounds less strange is because we've yet to break any grammatical rules, and so there's still potential for the sentence fragment to become a complete sentence and to become grammatically correct. Since the latter is logical, this indicates that the subject is more important than the object in English. The same is true if we had omitted the verb. Since the subject is the integral component in the sentence, this makes English a subject-prominent language.
Korean, on the other hand, is a topic-prominent language. Unlike English, the focus of each Korean sentence is the topic, not the subject. Essentially, the watched a movie portion, 영화를 봤어요, is the main focus of the sentence. The subject I can be omitted.
In fact, if it's obvious what the subject is, or if it's already been established, It's quite normal to omit the subject from the conversation altogether in Korean. Let's look at this aspect in a bit more detail. More often than not, if you wanted to say, I saw a movie in Korean, you would not say,
나는 영화를 봤어요.
instead, you would more likely say, movie saw in Korean.
영화를 봤어요.
Korean is a topic-prominent language. Thus, the information to be shared is the act of seeing a movie. The subject is less important and is usually omitted altogether. Most Korean sentences are constructed and spoken like this in real life.
영화를 봤어요.
On the other hand, when it's unclear who or what the subject is, or if you wanted to place emphasis on the subject, like if you wanted to specify from a group of people that it was you who saw the movie, then you would include the subject.
제가 영화를 봤어요.
But more often than not, in spoken Korean, you can omit the subject, particularly if that subject is you.
선물을 샀어요. 택시를 타고 돌아왔어요.
Knowing this, we can easily express any simple action in Korean using just the object and the verb. Try to create the sentence, I ate an apple, from these sets of words.
먹었어요. 사과를.
Got it? The object goes first, so let's put apple here. And the verb goes last, so let's put ate at the end. Finally, we connect them using the appropriate particle. And that's it.
사과를 먹었어요.
Which means, I ate an apple in Korean.
사과를 먹었어요.
Well done. Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Korean sentences are formed using a subject-object-verb, or SOV, word order. The most important aspect of Korean sentences is not the subject, but the topic of the sentence. Most sentences spoken in Korean will not actually contain a subject, especially if that subject is obvious. And lastly, you can create basic sentences in Korean by putting the object first and the verb last. We've covered only the very basics of Korean grammar. If you're interested in learning more, check out our Korean in 3 Minutes video series. In that course, we teach you useful phrases while covering the fundamentals of Korean grammar, and each lesson is only 3 minutes long. In the next lesson, we'll introduce you to the basics of Korean writing. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
다음에 또 만나요.
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Korean. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hee.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Korean writing. Similar to English, Korean also uses an alphabet. However, there is a big difference in the way Korean is written.
Unlike the English alphabet, where each letter stands alone, Korean consonants and vowels are combined and grouped together into blocks. Each block represents one syllable.
You can think of each block as a square which you need to fill in using consonants and vowels until you've created a syllable.
Every block will require a minimum of one consonant and one vowel to create a syllable.
Usually, though, Korean syllables will consist of 3 parts: the initial, medial, and final. Initials are written at the top left of the block. Initials will always be consonants.
Keep in mind, though, that this doesn't mean that syllables in Korean will always start with a consonant sound. It only means that vowels cannot be written in the initial position. A silent consonant could take this position, thus starting the syllable with a vowel sound.
Medials, on the other hand, will always be a vowel. It could be a single vowel or a double vowel, in which case it'll have a gliding sound, sometimes perceived as a Y or a W sound.
The most basic Korean block, then, would consist of a consonant-vowel combination. Ga.
Sometimes a block may include a final. Finals are always consonants and are positioned below the vowel at the bottom of the syllabic block. This means that the initial, medial, final structure would be a combination of a consonant, a vowel or double vowel, and a consonant. Here's a useful phrase which includes various syllabic block structures we've just discussed.
반가워.
As you can see, the first block contains the consonant-vowel-consonant format we just mentioned.
반.
The second block is the basic consonant-vowel format. The vowel is a vertical one, so the consonant is written on the left.
가.
The third block contains a double vowel, so the structure is initial medial, with the initial being a consonant and the medial a double vowel.
워,
Altogether, it's
반가워.
There are three basic rules for writing Korean characters. They are written from left to right, top to bottom, and from outside to inside.
This means that when you start writing a syllable in Korean, you start at the top left corner of the block.
Start at the top left corner and work down to the bottom right. Usually, the topmost horizontal line would come first, followed by any vertical strokes. If the consonant starts with a vertical stroke, you would start from the top left and work your way down, followed by any horizontal strokes.
그. As the first consonant is a 기역, you'd start from the top left and move toward the right for the first stroke, then move downward.
With Korean vowels, similar rules apply. You go from left to right and top to bottom. Most vowels in Korean start with a vertical stroke, however, so you would usually work your way from top to bottom, then left to right.
아,
We said initials, or the consonant, were written first. So if you put these two characters together,
가,
with a horizontal vowel, you would write the initial or consonant first,
그,
followed by the vowel below.
우,
Together,
구.
if you had a final consonant, then the order would be
반,
And should the medial be a double vowel with both horizontal and vertical components, the horizontal vowel would be written first, followed by the vertical vowel to the right.
워.
There you have it. Now you know how to write Korean characters within a syllabic block. In this lesson, you learned the basic rules of Korean writing. You learned that Korean consonants and vowels are grouped together to form syllabic blocks. You learned that there are usually three parts to a syllable: the initial, which is always a consonant, a medial, which can be a vowel or a double vowel, and a final, which is always a consonant. And lastly, Korean characters are written from the top left to the bottom right.
That's all for this lesson. If you'd like to learn more about Korean writing, check out our Hana Hangul series.
In the next lesson, you'll be entering Korean Boot Camp, where you'll learn useful beginner phrases to get you speaking Korean right away. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
다음에 또 만나요.
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Korean. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hee.
In this lesson, we'll focus on teaching you some useful Korean words and phrases for absolute beginners.
Make sure to repeat the words out loud after I say the examples.
Are you ready? Let's get started. One of the best phrases to learn while studying a new language is one that expresses gratitude. If you had to learn only a single phrase, this would be it.
고마워요. It means thank you. 고마워요.
Keep repeating after Jay until you get it.
고마워요.
Your turn.
고마워요. 고마워요.
One last time.
고마워요.
Okay, the next phrase we'll teach you is also very useful. It's used to excuse yourself.
실례합니다. And it means excuse me. 실례합니다.
Use this phrase when you're out shopping and need help, or when you're making your way through the busy streets of Seoul.
실례합니다. 실례합니다.
Do you remember this consonant here? We discussed it in lesson 2. While this character is transcribed as an R and an L, don't pronounce it like an English R. Listen to how Jay is pronouncing this sound.
르,
It sounds like a mixture between an R and an L sound.
르, 르.
Altogether, it's
실례합니다.
Okay, one last time.
실례합니다.
Now you can say thank you and excuse me in Korean. Let's move on. Another very important phrase to know is to ask where something is. This phrase is very useful as you can use it to ask where the bathroom or the subway station is.
은, 는, 어디예요?
For example, if you want to ask, where is the bathroom?
화장실은 어디예요? 는 is a topic marker which marks the place as the subject of the sentence. 은 is used if the character preceding it ends with a consonant. If the character preceding this phrase ends with a vowel, you use 는. 어디 means where. 예요 is a polite word that roughly translates to is.
Altogether, it's
화장실은 어디예요?
your turn.
화장실은 어디예요?
Next,
지하철역. 지하철역은 어디예요?
if you ask someone this question, they'll direct you to the closest subway station. If you'd like to ask where a specific subway station is, like Seoul Station for example, omit subway and place the location before station.
지하철역. 서울역. 서울역은 어디예요?
Next,
사우나.
sauna.
사우나. 사우나는 어디예요?
You can substitute almost anything and simply add
는 어디예요?
to ask where something is in Korean. In this final lesson, you learned how to say thank you, excuse me, and to ask where something is in Korean. And in this series, we introduced you to the basics of Korean pronunciation, grammar, writing, and more. Let's conclude with some parting advice from Jay and listen to some of his tips on how to learn Korean from a native Korean perspective.
The best way to learn Korean is to practice, practice, practice. First of all, don't try to fit Korean sounds into that of the English alphabet. One effective way to initially master Korean pronunciation is to watch Korean educational videos. Korean children need to learn their native language too, so educational programs for children as well as adults will help you figure out the vowel and consonant sounds. Watching modern Korean dramas and news programs is another sure way of increasing your Korean vocabulary and improving your grammar. Although K-pop is very popular and trendy, most of the lyrics use English phrases or slang which you may not use in everyday speech. And last but not least, studying Korean through contemporary videos such as our videos here at KoreanClass101.com will ensure that you're learning real, applicable Korean in the fastest and most effective way.
You've reached the end of this course, Introduction to Korean, but it's only the beginning of your journey to Korean fluency. Next, how about trying our innovative Korean culture series, where we teach you beginner vocab and even more useful phrases? Or check out any of our other video series. We have many different categories for you to choose from. Good luck as you continue learning Korean, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!
다음에 만나요.
Welcome to KoreanClass101.com 3분 한국어, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. 안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi, I'm Amy. Nice to meet you. In this series 3분 한국어, we are going to learn basic Korean expressions. It's super easy and it takes only 3 minutes. First of all, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Korean. There are a few different ways to do it depending on how formal you want to be. Let's first look at an informal way to introduce yourself. 안녕, Amy야. 반가워. Hi, I'm Amy. Nice to meet you. 안녕, Amy야. 반가워. Here, 안녕 means peace, so literally you say peace to say hello in Korean. Next, you can say your name, then add the sentence ending particle 야. My name is Amy, so I say Amy야. Finally, you say 반가워. 반가워 means nice to meet you. Now you try it. Start by saying 안녕. Then say your name followed by 야. If your name is David, you can say 데이비드야. Finally say 반가워. 안녕 데이비드야. 반가워. Now let's see a formal version. 안녕하세요. Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi, I'm Amy. Nice to meet you. 안녕하세요. 에이미예요. 반가워요. What has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these together. First, 안녕 has to change to 안녕하세요. 하세요 is the verb meaning to do. If you add 하세요 next to 안녕, it becomes more formal and polite. 안녕하세요. Next, you can replace the particle 야 with 에요. Both of them are sentence-ending particles, and you can put them after nouns. But 야 is informal and 에요 is formal. So if you say 에이미예요 instead of 에이미야, you can introduce your name in more formal way. Finally, 반가워요. Do you remember how to say nice to meet you in the informal way? 반가워. Here, you can simply add the particle 요 at the end of the verb. Then it becomes formal. 요 is a particle that can make a sentence polite. 반가워요. One more time. The formal way to introduce yourself is 안녕하세요. 에이미예요. 반가워요. The informal way to introduce yourself is 안녕, 에이미야. 반가워. Now it's time for Amy's insights. When you introduce yourself in Korea, it's polite to make a small bow. If you're a guy, bow with your hands at your sides. If you're a girl, bow with your hands in front of you. Bow from the waist. You don't have to dip down very far. Do you know how to say thank you in Korean? You will learn how to say this and many other words in the next lesson. 다음에 봐요. See you then. 안녕하세요, 에이미예요. 반가워요. Hi everybody, I'm Amy. Welcome to KoreanClass101.com's 3분 한국어, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Korean. Today, we're going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Are you ready? Then let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the most common phrase, 감사합니다. 감사합니다. 감사합니다 means I do thanks or thank you. To say thank you very much, you just need to add 대단히, which means very much or greatly. 대단히 감사합니다. 대단히 감사합니다. 대단히 means greatly, so 대단히 감사합니다 is like saying thank you very much. In the last lesson, we saw that Korean has formal and informal ways of speaking. 감사합니다 is pretty formal. If you want to thank someone more casually, you can use a shorter phrase. 고마워. 고마워. Let's break down those phrases. In the formal way of saying thank you, 감사합니다. 감사 means thank you. And 합니다 is a formal way to say to do. So 감사합니다 means I do thanks. And to make it less formal, we swap out 감사 with a different verb. That's 고마워. It has the same meaning of thank you, but it's more friendly. When someone thanks you, how should you answer? There's no set response like you're welcome in English, but there are a few things that you can say. The first thing is 아니에요. 아니에요. You literally are saying no, but this is a common and informal way to respond to someone thanking you. You're telling the person that there's nothing to bother thanking you for. There's another phrase that's used to respond to thank you in Korean. 천만에요. 천만에요. But it's not used all that often. You're better off with 아니에요 in most situations. Now it's time for Amy's insights. 감사합니다 sounds formal. 고마워 sounds informal. What if you want to sound kind of formal but still kind of friendly? In that case, you can upgrade the informal 고마워 to 고마워요. You see, you simply add 요 at the end. 요 is the sentence ending particles that make sentences more polite. This is a nice way to thank your waiter. 고마워요. Have you ever heard the phrase 안녕히 계세요 before? In our next lesson, you will learn this and more greetings in Korean. 여러분 감사합니다. 다음에 봐요. 안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi everybody, I'm Amy. Welcome to KoreanClass101.com's 3분 한국어, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. In the last lesson, we learned how to thank people by saying 감사합니다 and 고마워. In this lesson, we will learn some of the most common greetings used in Korea. Are you ready? Then let's start. The most common informal greeting is 안녕. 안녕. 안녕 means peace. We say it when we meet someone and also when we leave, but only to a friend or someone younger than us. The more standard greeting that you will hear a lot in Korea is 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Literally, 안녕하세요 means, are you at peace? We use it to say hello when we meet someone. It's technically a question, but we don't always say it that way. 안녕하세요. Because 안녕하세요 is a question, some people answer it with 예, which means yes, before replying with the same question, 안녕하세요. When it's time to leave, we have a couple different ways to say goodbye. If you're leaving and the other person is staying, say 안녕히 계세요. 안녕히 계세요. 계세요 means please stay. So 안녕히 계세요 literally means please stay peacefully. A casual version of 안녕히 계세요 is 잘 있어. 잘 means well and 있어 means stay informally. So 잘 있어 just means stay well. 잘 있어. If the other person is leaving, say 안녕히 가세요. 안녕히 가세요. 가세요 means please go. So 안녕히 가세요 literally means please go peacefully. A casual version of 안녕히 가세요 is 잘 가. 잘 means well and 가 means go informally. So 잘 가 just means go well. Now you know lots of ways to greet people in Korean. Let's review them all once again. To greet someone casually, 안녕. To greet someone respectfully, 안녕하세요. To say goodbye respectfully when you're leaving and the other person is staying, 안녕히 계세요. To say goodbye casually when you're leaving, 잘 있어. To say goodbye respectfully when the other person is leaving, 안녕히 가세요. To say goodbye casually when the other person is leaving, 잘 가. During the next lesson, we will learn the meaning of the phrase 영어를 할 수 있어요? Do you already know it? We'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our new 3분 한국어 lesson. 여러분 안녕히 계세요. 다음에 봐요. 안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi everybody, I'm Amy. Welcome to KoreanClass101.com's 3분 한국어, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. In the last lesson, we learned the most common greetings in Korean. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Korean, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're asking, even if their answer is no. Are you ready? Then let's start. Here's the basic way to ask whether someone speaks English. 영어 하세요? 영어 하세요? 영어 means English and 하세요 means do you do? So 영어 하세요 means do you do English? If you want to be a little more specific and ask about someone's ability to speak English, you can say 영어 할 수 있어요? 할 수 있어요 means can you do? Can you do English? 영어 할 수 있어요? 영어 할 수 있어요? This sentence could be very helpful if you're in trouble on the street, in a restaurant, or a hotel. No matter where you are, if you're looking for someone who can speak English, just ask. If you want to be super polite, just add 실례하지만, which means excuse me but. 실례하지만 영어 하세요? Excuse me, but do you speak English? 실례하지만 영어 하세요? The response will probably be like one of these three. Yeah? Yes? Yeah? 조금이요. Just a little. 조금이요. 아니 못해요. No, I don't. 아니 못해요. Since this last one is a negative statement about ability, we add 못, an adverb meaning can't. 못해요 means I can't. Now it's time for Amy's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. 일본어 for Japanese, 중국어 for Chinese, 스페인어 for Spanish, 독일어 for German, 프랑스어 for French. If you want to say, do you speak German? You can simply replace 영어 with 독일어. 독일어 하세요? Do you speak German? 독일어 하세요? In this lesson, we mentioned the word 실례합니다, meaning excuse me. In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Korean. It's never too late to show your good manners to Korean people. I'll see you in our next 3분 한국어 lesson. 안녕히 계세요. 다음에 봐요. 안녕하세요. Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi everybody, I'm Amy. Welcome to KoreanClass101.com's 3분 한국어. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. 실례하지만 한국어 하세요? If you understood this, you can say yeah, meaning yes. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase 실례하지만 영어 하세요? Excuse me, do you speak English? This uses the phrase 실례하지만, one way to say excuse me in Korean. Today, we are going to learn several ways to apologize in Korean. Are you ready? Let's start. First is 실례합니다. It means excuse me. If you want to add something to the end, tweak it to 실례하지만. Excuse me, but here 실례 means excuse and 합니다 means to do. So 실례합니다 means do excuse or excuse me. If you change 합니다 with 하지만, which means but, you can say 실례하지만. It means excuse me, but. Saying 실례합니다 doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It just means you have a question or favor to ask that may require someone to take some trouble for you. If you've actually done something rude, or if you made mistakes, you use a different phrase. 죄송합니다. I'm sorry. 죄송합니다. This is the phrase you would use if you ever bumped into somebody on the street in Korea. 죄송합니다. If you say 실례합니다 in this situation, the person you bumped may not get that you're apologizing and may instead think that you bumped them on purpose to ask a favor. How about saying excuse me to get a waiter or bartender's attention? Koreans use a couple of different phrases for that. The first is 여기요, 여기요. That means over here, please. It may sound a little rude in English, but in Korean it's fine. Another version that sounds slightly more polite is 저기요, 저기요. That means excuse me, you there. It may sound even more rude in English, but in Korean it's no problem. When the waiter is away from you, you can use this phrase, 저기요. You don't have to wait for the waiter to come to you. Just speak up with 여기요 or 저기요. Between friends, you can say 미안해, sorry. 미안해. 미안해 is an informal way to apologize to someone. Using 미안 instead of 죄송 suggests that you've hurt someone's feelings, not just inconvenienced them. Now it's time for Amy's insights. Want to sound more sincere when you apologize? Just add 정말, which means truly. 정말 미안합니다. I'm truly sorry. 정말 미안합니다. You can use 정말 with 미안합니다 and 죄송합니다, but not with 실례합니다. Do you know anything about counting in Korean? How about the name of this series? 3분 한국어. See, you already know a number, 3, which means 3. In the next lesson, we will learn how to count from 1 to 10 in Korean. I'll be waiting for you in our next 3분 한국어 lesson. 안녕히 계세요. 다음에 봐요. 안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi everybody, I'm Amy. Welcome to KoreanClass101.com's 3분 한국어, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. In the last lesson, we learned some words used when apologizing in Korean, including 죄송합니다 and 미안해. In this lesson, we are going to learn some numbers. Yes, numbers. 숫자. There are actually 2 systems of counting in Korean. In this lesson, you're going to learn the Chinese-based numbers 1 to 10. And you're going to learn them in only 3 minutes, 3분. Are you ready? Then let's start. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 10. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great job! What comes before 1? Do you know how to say 0 in Korean? It's 0. But in phone numbers, it's often said 0. 0, 0. Imagine someone tells you a phone number. Can you understand it? 010 3, 1, 7, 5, 4, 2, 6, 8. Now it's time for Amy's insights. As we mentioned earlier, Korean has two systems of counting. The Chinese-based one we are learning now, and the native Korean one. The Chinese-based one is easier, so we are learning it first. But we will learn the native Korean counting system in the very next 3분 한국어 lesson. See you then! 다음에 또 만나요! 안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi everybody, I'm Amy. Welcome to KoreanClass101.com 3분 한국어, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. In the last lesson, we learned the Chinese-based numbers from 1 to 10. Have you already forgotten them? I'll tell you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's great that you can count to 10. But did you know there's a whole other way to do that? That's right. In addition to the numbers based on Chinese characters, there are also the native Korean numbers that we have been using before we even had Chinese characters. Here they are. 하나, 1, 하나. 둘, 2, 둘. 셋, 3, 셋. 넷, 4, 넷. 다섯, 5, 다섯. 여섯, 6, 여섯. 일곱, 7, 일곱. 여덟, 8, 여덟. 아홉, 9, 아홉. 열, 10, 열. Which one do we use? We use both. Some things are counted using Chinese-based numbers, and other things using native Korean numbers. For example, when telling time, we say the hour using a native Korean number and the minute using a Chinese-based number. So let's practice these numbers and learn how to say times too. Here's how to say the hour first. 3 o'clock is 3시. 3시. The native Korean number 3 is 셋. But we shorten it to 세 when we put it before a counter like 시. The last consonant, 시옷, of 셋 disappeared when it meets the counting unit. When you add 하나, 1, 둘, 2, 셋, 3, 넷, 4 with counting units, the last vowel or consonant of each number will disappear. So 하나 is 1. But 1 o'clock is 1시. When 하나 meets the counting unit 시, the last vowel 아 disappears. 둘 is 2. But 2 o'clock is 2시. The last consonant 리을 disappeared. 넷 is 4. But 4 o'clock is 4시. Same thing here. The last consonant 시옷 disappeared. This rule is only for number 1 to 4. Otherwise, it is simply the Korean number plus 시. 10시, 10 o'clock. 7시, 7 o'clock. Now that you know how to say the hour, let's say the minute. The counter for minutes in Korean is 분. Be sure to use a Chinese-based number with this counter. Do you know how to say 3:10 in Korean? It's just 3시 10분. 3 in native numbers, plus the word for hour. 3시. Then 10 in Chinese numbers, 10. And finally the word for minutes, 분. 3시 10분. A little confusing, right? Don't worry, you will get the hang of it soon enough. Just remember that for hours we use Korean numbers, and for minutes we use Chinese numbers. Now it's time for Amy's insights. Here are some other suffixes used to count things. 명 for people, 한 명, 두 명, 번 for the number of times something happens. 한 번, 두 번. In the next lesson, we're finally going to break 10 and learn the numbers from 11 to 100. You definitely don't want to miss it. So join us next time for more 3분 한국어. 다음에 또 만나요. 여러분 안녕하세요. 에이미예요. Hi everybody, I'm Amy. Welcome back to KoreanClass101.com's 3분 한국어, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. 2 lessons ago, we learned to count from 1 to 10 using Chinese numbers. In the last lesson, we learned the whole other way to count from 1 to 10 using native Korean numbers. Do you remember all these numbers? Let's see if you can recall the native ones first. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉, 열. Great job! And how about the Chinese numbers? Do you remember those? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Phew, that's a lot of numbers. But I bet you're wondering what comes next, right? Well, if you think about it, 11 is just 10 plus 1. How would you say that in Korean? No need to overthink it. 10, 10 plus 1 equals 11. So 11 is 11. And how about 12? 10 plus 2 equals 12. So 12 is 12. Seem too easy to be true? It's not. And it doesn't get any harder when you hit 20. 20 is really just 2 tens. Multiply 2e by 10, 10 to get 20, 20. Just as you'd expect. 30 is 30, 40 is 40, and so on. Now that you know how to count tens, you can make it all the way to 99. For example, I bet you can tell me the Korean word for 87, even though we haven't counted nearly that high yet. Can you? First, we need to say 80. 80 is 8 tens, so 80 is 80. Finally, say the word for 7. 7. 87 is 87. Let's learn one more word. The Korean word for 100 is 100. 100. Can you guess how to say 150 in Korean? 100 is 100, and 50 is 50. So 150 is? That's right, it's 150. And I'm sure you can figure out how to say 250. 250. Great job! Now it's time for Amy's insights. You just learned how to count above 10 for Chinese numbers, but it works the exact same way for native numbers. 11 is 열하나, 열 is 10, and 하나 is 1. 12 is 열둘, 열 is 10, and 둘 is 2, and so on. In the next lesson, we're going to learn the handy phrase 얼마예요? Do you know what it means? We'll see this phrase and many others that will help you shop. I'll be waiting for you in our next 3분 한국어 lesson. 안녕히 계세요. 다음에 봐요.
Welcome to Can Do Korean by KoreanClass101.com.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 김소피입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Kim. In this lesson, you will learn how to introduce yourself in Korean.
This is Mark Morris. He's on a plane to Korea. Mingyu Moon, a passenger sitting next to him, introduces himself by saying, "Hello, I'm Mingyu Moon. Nice to meet you."
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
Listen to the conversation and focus on Mark's response. Note, the speakers in this conversation use formal Korean. Ready?
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. 반갑습니다.
Once more with the English translation.
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
Hello, I'm Mingyu Moon. Nice to meet you.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. 반갑습니다.
Hello, I'm Mark Morris. Nice to meet you.
Let's take a closer look at Mark's response.
Do you remember how Mark Morris introduces himself? Hello, I'm Mark Morris. Nice to meet you.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. 반갑습니다.
First is,
안녕하세요.
meaning hello.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
This phrase is usually the first thing someone says when making a self-introduction in Korean.
안녕하세요.
Before we look at how Mark introduces his name, let's look at the last part of Mark's response. The phrase is,
반갑습니다.
this literally means happy to meet you, but translates as nice to meet you.
반갑습니다. 반갑습니다.
Do you remember how Mark says, I'm Mark Morris?
저는 모리스 마크입니다.
First is,
저,
meaning I.
저.
This is the humble word for I. Next is
는,
the topic marking particle.
는.
It marks I as the topic of this sentence. Think of it like as for in the expression as for me. Together, it's
저는,
as for me.
저는.
Next is Mark Morris's name. Notice the name order. First is Mark's family name,
모리스,
Morris.
모리스.
Followed by his first name,
마크,
Mark.
마크.
Together, it's
모리스 마크,
Morris Mark.
모리스 마크.
In Korean, the order is family name first, followed by given names. Mingyu Moon also uses this name order when he says
문민규,
family name Moon, followed by given name Mingyu. Last is,
입니다.
in this case, it's like the am in I am.
입니다.
Is the formal form of the verb,
이다.
meaning to be. Altogether, it's
저는 모리스 마크입니다.
this literally means, as for me, Morris Mark, I am. But it translates as, I'm Mark Morris.
저는 모리스 마크입니다.
The pattern is,
저는 name입니다.
I'm name.
저는 name입니다.
입니다.
To use this pattern, simply replace the name placeholder with your name. Imagine you're Karen Morris.
카렌, 모리스, 카렌, 모리스, 카렌, 모리스.
Say, I'm Karen Morris. Use Korean name order. Family name first, followed by given name. Ready?
저는 모리스 카렌입니다.
I'm Karen Morris.
저는 모리스 카렌입니다.
Note, there are two versions of the topic marking particle.
Then follows words that end in the vowel. N follows words that end in a consonant. Let's look at some examples. Vowels. In the dialogue, 는 follows 저, as 저 ends in a vowel. 저는 as for me. 저는. Consonants. In the case of words that end in consonants, like 오늘, meaning today, 은 follows. 오늘은, 오늘은.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 카렌입니다. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 카렌입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 김소피입니다. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 김소피입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 심선영입니다. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요. 심선영입니다. 반갑습니다.
Did you notice how the last speaker omits 저는?
She says,
심선영입니다.
I'm Sun Young Shim.
심선영입니다.
She omits
저는
and says her name,
심선영
followed by.
입니다.
In Korean, when the context is clear, the speaker often omits the topic. In this case, it's clear the speaker is talking about herself. The pattern is
name 입니다.
I'm name.
name 입니다.
Do you remember my introduction at the start of the lesson? 김소피입니다. I'm Sophie Kim. 김소피입니다.
This is shortened in the same way, by omitting.
저는
You should be aware of this shortcut, but for this lesson, we'll use the pattern.
저는 name 입니다.
I'm name.
저는 name 입니다.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then, repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say hello? 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. And how to say nice to meet you. 반갑습니다. 반갑습니다. Do you remember how to say I? 저 And how to say as for me. 저는 Do you remember how Mark Murray says his name? 모리스 마크 And how Mark Murray says, I'm Mark Maurice. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. Do you remember how Mark Murray says, Hello, I'm Mark Maurice. Nice to meet you.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 마크입니다. 반갑습니다. And do you remember how Mingyu Moon says, Hello, I'm Mingyu Moon. Nice to meet you.
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
Let's practice. Imagine your
모리스 카렌.
respond to Mingyu Moon's self-introduction. Ready?
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 카렌입니다. 반갑습니다.
Listen again and repeat.
안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 카렌입니다. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 모리스 카렌입니다. 반갑습니다.
Let's try another. Imagine your
심선영.
ready?
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 심선영입니다. 반갑습니다.
Listen again and repeat.
안녕하세요. 저는 심선영입니다. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 심선영입니다. 반갑습니다.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're
김소피.
ready?
안녕하세요. 저는 문민규입니다. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 김소피입니다. 반갑습니다.
Listen again and repeat.
안녕하세요. 저는 김소피입니다. 반갑습니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 김소피입니다. 반갑습니다. When introducing yourself as a Korean learner, use the name or name order with which you'd like to be addressed. For example, you might want to share only your given name. 저는 카렌입니다. I'm Karen. 저는 카렌입니다. Or you might want to give your given name followed by your family name. 저는 카렌 모리스입니다. I'm Karen Maurice. 저는 카렌 모리스입니다. This is the end of this lesson.
Remember, these can-do lessons are about learning practical language skills. What's next? Show us what you can do. When you're ready, take your assessment. You can take it again and again, so try anytime you like. Our teachers will assess it and give you your results.
Well done! Now you know how to introduce yourself in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Well done! Now you know how to introduce yourself in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Welcome to Can-Do Korean by KoreanClass101.com.
안녕하세요 여러분, 김소피입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Kim. In this lesson, you will learn how to tell someone where you're from in Korean.
This is Mark Morris. He's on a plane to Korea. Min-Gyu Moon, a passenger sitting next to him, asks, Mark, where are you from?
마크 씨는 어디에서 왔어요?
Listen to the conversation and focus on Mark's response. Note, the speakers in this conversation use polite Korean. Ready?
마크 씨는 어디에서 왔어요?
뉴욕에서 왔어요.
Once more with the English translation.
마크 씨는 어디에서 왔어요?
Mark, where are you from?
뉴욕에서 왔어요.
I'm from New York.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Min-Gyu Moon asks, Mark, where are you from?
마크 씨는 어디에서 왔어요?
First is
마크 씨,
Mark.
마크 씨,
This starts with Mark's name,
마크,
Mark.
마크, 마크,
After this is
씨,
a polite suffix attached to a person's name.
씨, 씨, 씨,
Is commonly used amongst people of equal social status, age, or position. This suffix can be used with any gender and can be attached to a person's given name or their full name, but not the last name alone. Together,
마크 씨,
Mark.
마크 씨,
Next is the particle,
는,
the topic marking particle.
는, 는,
Here,
는,
indicates that Mark is the topic of the sentence. Think of it like as for in the expression as for Mark. In Korean, it's impolite to refer to someone as you. Using the person's name is considered more indirect and therefore more polite. Together, it's
마크 씨는,
as for Mark.
마크 씨는,
Note, there are two forms of the topic marking particle.
는,
Follows words that end in a vowel, such as in.
마크 씨,
Next is the word
어디,
where.
어디, 어디,
After this is the particle,
에서,
the location marking particle.
에서, 에서,
In this sentence, think of it as the from, as in, where are you from? Next is,
왔어요,
which means you came, as in, you came from.
왔어요, 왔어요,
Note, the word you is understood from context, as the speaker is asking a question.
왔어요,
Comes from the verb
오다,
meaning to come, as in, to come from.
오다.
Altogether,
마크 씨는 어디에서 왔어요?
this literally means, as for Mark, where from you came. But it translates as, Mark, where are you from?
마크 씨는 어디에서 왔어요?
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later in this lesson.
Now, let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Mark Morris says, I'm from New York?
뉴욕에서 왔어요.
First is
뉴욕,
New York.
뉴욕, 뉴욕,
After this is
에서,
the location marking particle.
에서,
It marks
뉴욕,
New York as the location that's relevant to the action of the sentence. Think of it as the from, as in from New York.
뉴욕에서
This is followed by
왔어요,
I came, as in I came from.
왔어요, 왔어요,
Note, the word I is understood from context, as Mark is answering a question.
왔어요,
Is from the verb
오다,
meaning to come.
오다,
Altogether, it's
뉴욕에서 왔어요,
this literally means New York from I came, but it translates as I came from New York.
뉴욕에서 왔어요.
The pattern is
홈타운에서 왔어요,
I'm from hometown.
홈타운에서 왔어요.
To use this pattern, simply replace hometown with your hometown. Imagine you're from Seattle.
시애틀, 시애틀, 시애틀.
Say, I'm from Seattle.
시애틀에서 왔어요.
I'm from Seattle.
시애틀에서 왔어요.
Pronunciation note. Listen to New York and the location marking particle pronounced separately.
뉴욕,
New York.
뉴욕. 에서,
The location marking particle.
에서.
Now listen to the New York followed by the location marking particle.
뉴욕에서, 뉴욕에서.
Notice the difference? The last consonant in
뉴욕,
blends with the vowel in.
에서. 뉴욕에서, 뉴욕에서.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
뉴욕에서 왔어요. 뉴욕에서 왔어요.
평창에서 왔어요. 평창에서 왔어요.
시애틀에서 왔어요. 시애틀에서 왔어요.
런던에서 왔어요. 런던에서 왔어요.
서울에서 왔어요. 서울에서 왔어요.
호주에서 왔어요. 호주에서 왔어요.
Did you notice the last speaker says a country name in place of a city name?
호주에서 왔어요.
I'm from Australia.
호주에서 왔어요.
You can use this pattern to talk about your country, not just your hometown. In the example, the speaker is from
호주,
Australia.
호주, 호주.
This pattern is
home country에서 왔어요.
I'm from home country.
home country에서 왔어요.
You should be aware of this pattern, but for this lesson, we'll use city names. Let's review the key vocabulary.
평창,
Pyeongchang,
평창, 평창. 런던,
London,
런던, 런던. 서울,
Seoul,
서울, 서울.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say New York? New York. New York. And how to say from New York. 뉴욕에서. 뉴욕에서. Do you remember how Mark says, I'm from New York?
뉴욕에서 왔어요.
뉴욕에서 왔어요. Do you remember how to say where? 어디, 어디. And how Mingyu Moon addresses Mark? 마크 씨, 마크 씨. Do you remember how Mingyu asks Mark, "Where are you from?"
마크 씨는 어디에서 왔어요?
마크 씨는 어디에서 왔어요? Do you remember how to say London? 런던, 런던. And how to say Seattle? 시애틀, 시애틀. Do you remember how to say Seoul? 서울, 서울.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Jack Jones from London. Respond to Mingyu Moon's question. Ready?
어디에서 왔어요? 런던에서 왔어요.
Listen again and repeat.
런던에서 왔어요. 런던에서 왔어요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Eugene Elm from Seattle. Ready?
어디에서 왔어요?
시애틀에서 왔어요.
Listen again and repeat.
시애틀에서 왔어요. 시애틀에서 왔어요.
Let's try one more. Now, imagine you're Sophie Kim from Seoul. Ready?
어디에서 왔어요?
서울에서 왔어요.
Listen again and repeat.
서울에서 왔어요. 서울에서 왔어요. This is the end of this lesson.
Remember, these can-do lessons are about learning practical language skills. What's next? Show us what you can do. When you're ready, take your assessment. You can take it again and again, so try any time you like. Our teachers will assess it and give you your results.
Well done! Now you know how to say where you're from in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. and test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Well done! Now you know how to say where you're from in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Welcome to Can-Do Korean by KoreanClass101.com.
안녕하세요 여러분, 김소피입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Kim. In this lesson, you'll learn how to talk about your occupation in Korean.
This is Mark Morris, and he's on a plane to Seoul. He asks the passenger sitting next to him, Min-Gyu Moon, "Are you a student?"
학생이에요.
Listen to the conversation and focus on Min-Gyu Moon's response. Note, the speakers in this conversation use polite Korean. Ready?
학생이에요.
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요.
Once more with the English translation.
학생이에요.
Are you a student?
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요.
No, I'm not a student. I'm an investor.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Mark asks, "Are you a student?"
학생이에요.
First is
학생,
student.
학생, 학생,
Next is,
이에요,
here it's like the R in RU.
이에요, 이에요.
Note, the word you is understood from context, as Mark is asking a question, and here the question is formed by the rising intonation. Listen again.
학생이에요? 이에요,
Is from the verb,
이다,
meaning to be.
이다,
Note,
이에요.
follows words that end in a consonant like,
학생,
altogether,
학생이에요?
are you a student?
학생이에요.
Now, let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Min-Gyu Moon says, "No, I'm not a student. I'm an investor."
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요.
First is the expression,
아니요,
meaning no.
아니요, 아니요.
It answers Mark's yes or no question. Are you a student?
학생이에요?
Next, Min-Gyu says,
학생이 아니에요.
"I'm not a student."
학생이 아니에요.
First is
학생,
student.
학생.
Next is
이,
the subject marking particle.
이.
It marks student as the subject of the sentence. Note, there are two versions of the subject marking particle.
이,
Follows words that end in a consonant, like,
학생.
next is,
아니에요.
here, not I am, but it translates as I am not.
아니에요.
Note, the word I is understood from context, as Min-Gyu is responding to a question.
아니에요.
Is from the verb,
아니다.
meaning to not be.
아니다.
Altogether,
학생이 아니에요.
I'm not a student.
학생이 아니에요.
Finally, Ming-yu says,
투자가예요.
I'm an investor.
투자가예요.
First,
투자가,
investor.
투자가, 투자가,
Next is,
예요.
in this case, it's like the am in I am.
예요. 예요.
Note, the word I is understood from context, as the speaker is answering a question.
예요.
Is from the verb,
이다.
meaning to be.
이다.
Note,
예요.
follows words that end in a vowel like,
투자가,
together,
투자가예요.
I'm an investor.
투자가예요.
Altogether,
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요.
no, I'm not a student. I'm an investor.
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요.
Note, there are two forms of the subject marking particle.
이,
Follows words that end in a consonant, such as,
학생. 가,
follows words that end in a vowel, such as.
투자가.
Note, there are two polite forms of the verb,
이다.
to be.
이에요.
Follows words that end in a consonant, such as.
학생. 예요.
Follows words that end in a vowel, such as.
투자가.
The pattern is,
아니요. occupation ending in consonant. 이 아니에요. 아니요. occupation ending in vowel. 가 아니에요.
no, I'm not occupation.
actual occupation ending in consonant. 예요. actual occupation ending in vowel. 예요.
I'm actual occupation.
아니요. occupation ending in consonant. 이 아니에요. 아니요. occupation ending in vowel. 가 아니에요. actual occupation ending in consonant. 예요. actual occupation ending in vowel. 예요.
No, I'm not occupation. I'm actual occupation. Imagine you're Eugene Eom, a student. Ming-yu asks you if you're a teacher.
선생님. 선생님. 선생님.
Say, no, I'm not a teacher. I'm a student. Ready?
아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 학생이에요.
No, I'm not a teacher. I'm a student.
아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 학생이에요.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요. 아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요.
아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 학생이에요. 아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 학생이에요.
아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 엔지니어예요. 아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 엔지니어예요.
아니요. 간호사가 아니에요. 의사예요. 아니요. 간호사가 아니에요. 의사예요.
아니요, 학생이 아니에요. 선생님이에요. 아니요, 학생이 아니에요. 선생님이에요.
아니요. 바리스타예요. 아니요. 바리스타예요.
Did you notice how the last speaker omits part of the response?
아니요. 바리스타예요.
No, I am a barista.
아니요. 바리스타예요.
When directly responding to someone's question, it's often possible to omit part of the response. Here, by simply answering
아니요.
no, there is no need to say,
학생이 아니에요.
I'm not a student. This pattern is
아니요. Actual occupation ending in consonant. 이에요. 아니요. Actual occupation ending in vowel. 예요.
no, I'm actual occupation. You should be aware of this pattern, but for this lesson, we'll use the pattern.
아니요. Occupation ending in consonant. 이 아니에요. 아니요. Occupation ending in vowel. 가 아니에요.
No, I'm not occupation.
Actual occupation ending in consonant. 이에요. Actual occupation ending in vowel. 예요.
I'm actual occupation. Let's review the key vocabulary.
선생님,
Teacher,
선생님, 선생님. 엔지니어,
engineer,
엔지니어, 엔지니어. 간호사,
nurse,
간호사, 간호사. 의사,
doctor,
의사, 의사. 바리스타,
barista,
바리스타, 바리스타.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say investor? 투자가, 투자가. And how Mingyu Moon says, I am an investor. 투자가예요. 투자가예요. Do you remember how to say student? 학생, 학생. And how Mingyu Moon says, I'm not a student. 학생이 아니에요. 학생이 아니에요. Do you remember how to say no? 아니요. 아니요. Do you remember how Mingyu-moon says, "No, I'm not a student. I am an investor."
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요.
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 투자가예요. Do you remember how Mark Morris asks, "Are you a student?" Remember, Mark uses formal Korean.
학생이에요?
학생이에요? Do you remember the word for teacher? 선생님, 선생님. And the word for engineer? engineer, engineer.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Mark Morris and you're an engineer. Respond to Mingyu's question. Ready?
선생님이에요?
아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 엔지니어예요.
Listen again and repeat.
아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 엔지니어예요. 아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 엔지니어예요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Eugene Aum and you're a student. Ready?
선생님이에요?
아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 학생이에요.
Listen again and repeat.
아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 학생이에요. 아니요. 선생님이 아니에요. 학생이에요.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Sophie Kim and you're a teacher. Ready?
학생이에요?
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 선생님이에요.
Listen again and repeat.
아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 선생님이에요. 아니요. 학생이 아니에요. 선생님이에요. This is the end of this lesson.
Remember, these can-do lessons are about learning practical language skills. What's next? Show us what you can do. When you're ready, take your assessment. You can take it again and again, so try anytime you like. Our teachers will assess it and give you your results.
Well done! Now you know how to talk about your occupation in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Well done! Now you know how to talk about your occupation in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Welcome to Can-Do Korean by KoreanClass101.com.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 김계진입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Kejin Kim. In this lesson, you learn how to give your phone number in Korean.
This is Mark Morris, and he's at City Hall registering his address. He bumps into an acquaintance who, after exchanging greetings, asks, "What's your phone number?"
전화번호가 뭐예요?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Ready?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
Once more with the English translation.
전화번호가 뭐예요?
What's your phone number?
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
My phone number is 010-0123-4567.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Mingyu says, "What's your phone number?"
전화번호가 뭐예요?
First is
전화번호,
meaning phone number.
전화번호,
This starts with
전화,
phone.
전화, 전화.
Next is
번호,
number.
번호, 번호.
Together, it's
전화번호,
phone number.
전화번호.
Remember this because you'll see it again in Mark's response. Next is
가,
the subject marking particle.
가, 가,
In this sentence,
가.
marks
전화번호,
telephone number as the subject of the sentence. Think of it as marking telephone number as the thing being talked about. Last is
뭐예요?
a polite, informal phrase meaning, what is it?
뭐예요?
First is
뭐,
what.
뭐, 뭐.
Next is
예요,
here. It's like the is in is it.
예요, 예요.
Here, the word it is understood from context.
예요,
Is from the verb
이다,
meaning to be.
이다.
Note,
예요,
follows words that end in vowels like
뭐,
together,
뭐예요?
what is it?
뭐예요?
Here, the question is formed by the rising intonation. Listen again.
뭐예요?
Altogether, it's
전화번호가 뭐예요?
This literally means, phone number, what is? But translates as, what's your phone number?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
Note, the your in your phone number is understood from the context of the two-person conversation. Omitting understood information is common in Korean. Remember this request. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember Mark's response? My phone number is 010-0123-4567.
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
First is
제,
my.
제.
This is the shortened form,
저,
the humble word for I, and
의,
meaning of. Together it's
저의,
my.
저의,
This is shortened to.
제.
Next, do you remember the word for phone number?
전화번호,
Phone number.
전화번호,
Together,
제 전화번호,
my phone number.
제 전화번호,
Next is
는,
the topic marking particle.
는.
It marks my phone number as the topic of the sentence. Think of it like as for in the expression as for my phone number. Next is Mark's phone number.
010-0123-4567.
Notice how Mark says his phone number. First, he says each number independently. Second, in Korean, hyphens are either omitted or read. For this lesson, we'll omit hyphens and indicate spaces after a group of numbers with a pause mid-speech.
010-0123-4567.
Last is,
이에요.
in this case, it's like the is in my phone number is.
이에요. 이에요. 이에요.
Is a form of the verb
이다.
to be. Note,
이에요.
follows words that end in consonants like.
7.
Altogether, it's
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
This literally means, as for my phone number, 010-0123-4567 is. But it translates as, my phone number is 010-0123-4567.
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
The pattern is,
제 전화번호는 phone number 이에요.
my phone number is phone number.
제 전화번호는 phone number 이에요.
To use this pattern, simply replace phone number with your phone number. Imagine your phone number is
02-0123-9876 02-0123-9876
9876
Say, my phone number is 02-0123-9876.
제 전화번호는
02-0123-9876이에요.
My phone number is 02-0123-9876.
제 전화번호는
02-0123-9876이에요.
There are two versions of the subject marking particle. 가 follows words that end in a vowel, as in 전화번호. 이 follows words that end in a consonant, such as 7. There are two versions of the topic marking particle. 는 follows words that end in a vowel, as in 전화번호. 은 follows words that end in a consonant. 7. There are two polite forms of the verb 이다, to be. 예요 follows words that end in a vowel, such as 뭐. 이에요 follows words that end in a consonant, such as 7.
Let's look at some examples of people giving their phone numbers. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
제 전화번호는
02-0123-9876이에요.
제 전화번호는 010-0703-9004예요.
제 전화번호는 02-0101-3434예요.
010-0789-6543이에요. Did you notice I omitted 제 전화번호는? (010-0789-6543이에요)
It's 010-0789-6543. When directly responding to a request, it's often possible to omit part of the response. Here, by simply giving your phone number, there's no need to include,
제 전화번호는
as for my phone number. The pattern is,
phone number 이에요.
it's phone number. You should be aware of this shortcut, but for this lesson, we'll use the pattern,
제 전화번호는 phone number 이에요.
my phone number is phone number.
제 전화번호는 phone number 이에요. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say phone number? 전화번호, 전화번호. And how to say my phone number? 제 전화번호, 제 전화번호. Do you remember how to say as for my phone number? 제 전화번호는 Now, do you remember how Mark says, My phone number is 010-0123-4567?
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요. Do you remember the polite informal phrase meaning what is it? 뭐예요? Do you remember Mingyu's request? What's your phone number?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
Let's practice. Imagine you're Karen Morris, and your phone number is
010-0877-0844.
respond to the request. Ready?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
제 전화번호는 010-0877-0844예요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 전화번호는 010-0877-0844예요. 제 전화번호는 010-0877-0844예요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Ben Morris, and your phone number is
010-0891-2345.
Ready?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
제 전화번호는 010-0891-2345예요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 전화번호는 010-0891-2345예요. 제 전화번호는 010-0891-2345예요.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Kaun Kim, and your phone number is
010-0703-9004.
Ready?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
제 전화번호는 010-0703-9004예요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 전화번호는 010-0703-9004예요. 제 전화번호는 010-0703-9004예요.
This is the end of this lesson.
Remember, these can-do lessons are about learning practical language skills. What's next? Show us what you can do. When you're ready, take your assessment. You can take it again and again, so try anytime you like. Our teachers will assess it and give you your results.
Now you know how to give your phone number in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Now you know how to give your phone number in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Welcome to Can-Do Korean by KoreanClass101.com.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 김계진입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Kejin Kim. In this lesson, you learn how to talk about your family.
This is Ben Morris, and he's at a coffee shop with his classmate, Kaun Kim. Ben is showing her some pictures. She points to one of them and asks, "Is this your family, Ben?"
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Ready?
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
Once more with the English translation.
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
Is this your family, Ben?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
Yes, this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Kaun asks, "Is this your family, Ben?"
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
First is
벤 씨,
meaning Ben.
벤 씨,
This starts with Ben's name in Korean.
벤, 벤, 벤,
After this is
씨,
a polite suffix attached to a person's name.
씨, 씨, 씨,
Is commonly used among people of equal social status, age, or position. This suffix can be used with any gender and can be attached to a person's given name or their full name, but not the last name alone. Together,
벤 씨,
Ben.
벤 씨,
Next is
의,
the possessive marking particle.
의, 의,
Think of
의,
as a way to indicate possession, like the apostrophe S in Ben's family. The word it follows possesses the thing that comes after it. In this sentence, it marks
벤 씨,
Ben as the possessor. Together
벤 씨의,
translates as Ben's.
벤 씨의,
After this is
가족,
family.
가족, 가족,
Together
벤 씨의 가족,
literally means Ben's family,
벤 씨의 가족,
but it translates as your family. In Korean, it's more common and polite to address a person by their name and polite suffix rather than directly with words like your or you. After this is,
이에요,
in this case, it's like the is in Is This Your Family?
이에요, 이에요, 이에요,
Is the polite spoken form of the verb,
이다,
meaning to be.
이다,
Note, there are two forms of the polite spoken form of the verb to be.
이에요,
Follows words that end in a consonant, like
가족,
altogether.
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
This literally means Ben's family. This is, but it translates as, Is this your family, Ben?
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Ben says, Yes, this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me?
네, 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
There are two parts to the response.
네, 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
The first part is,
네,
Yes.
네, 네,
It answers Cohn's yes-no question. Is this your family, Ben?
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
In the second part, Ben lists the different members of his family while pointing to each family member.
네, 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
Yes, this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me.
네, 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
First is
아버지,
literally father, but it translates as my father in this context.
아버지, 아버지,
Next is
어머니,
mother.
어머니, 어머니,
After this is
여동생,
younger sister.
여동생, 여동생,
Note,
여,
means female, and
동생,
means younger sibling. Combined,
여동생,
younger sister. Next is
저,
translating as me in this case.
저,
Finally,
예요,
in this case, it's like the is in this is.
예요, 예요, 예요,
Is from the verb
이다,
meaning to be.
이다,
Note, there are two forms of the polite spoken form of the verb to be.
예요,
Follows words that end in a vowel, like
저,
altogether.
아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
This literally means father, mother, younger sister, me, this is. But it translates as this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me.
아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
Note, this is understood from context, as the speaker is answering a question about the group of people in the picture. In addition, this Korean sentence doesn't include a specific word meaning my, as here it's understood from context as the speaker is answering a question. The pattern is
family member, family member, family member, 저예요.
this is my family member, family member, family member, and me. To use this pattern, simply replace family member with each of your family members. Imagine you are Sasha Morris, and your family members are your mother, your father, your older brother, and you.
오빠,
Older brother.
오빠, 오빠.
Say, this is my mother, father, older brother, and me. Ready?
어머니, 아버지, 오빠, 저예요.
This is my mother, father, older brother, and me.
어머니, 아버지, 오빠, 저예요.
Did you notice how Sasha calls her older brother 오빠? In Korean, there are two words for older sister and two words for older brother. The word used depends on the gender of the younger sibling. For younger sisters, older brother is 오빠 and older sister is 언니. 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 For younger brothers, older brother is 형. 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 And older sister is 누나. 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 For elder siblings, younger sibling is 동생. Younger sister is 여동생. And younger brother is 남동생. 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 In the conversation, Ben says 여동생, younger sister.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
어머니, 아버지, 오빠, 저예요. 어머니, 아버지, 오빠, 저예요.
아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요. 아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요.
아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요. 아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요.
부모님, 오빠, 저예요. 부모님, 오빠, 저예요. Did you notice how I replaced 어머니, 아버지 with 부모님, parents? 부모님, 오빠, 저예요.
These are my parents, older brother, and me. First is
부모님,
parents.
부모님, 부모님, 부모님.
means parents, but it translates as my parents in the context of answering the question. You should be aware of this word, but you won't need it for this lesson. Let's review the key vocabulary.
오빠,
Older brother, as said by younger sisters.
오빠, 오빠. 언니,
Older sister, as used by younger sisters.
언니, 언니. 형,
Older brother, as used by younger brothers.
형, 형. 누나,
Older sister, as used by younger brothers.
누나, 누나.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say yes? 네. 네. And how to say me? 저. Do you remember how Ben says younger sister? 여동생. And how to say mother? 어머니. Do you remember how to say father? 아버지. Do you remember how Ben says, yes, this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요. Do you remember how to say family? 가족. And how Colin addresses Ben? 벤 씨. Do you remember how to say Ben's family? 벤 씨의 가족. And do you remember how Colin asks, is this your family, Ben?
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
벤 씨의 가족이에요? Do you remember how a younger sister says older brother? 오빠. And how a younger sister says older sister? 언니. Do you remember how a younger brother says older sister? 누나.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Sasha, Ben's younger sister. Respond to your friend's question referring to the photo. Don't forget to include the word for yes at the beginning of your response. Ready?
사샤 씨의 가족이에요?
네, 아버지, 어머니, 오빠, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네, 아버지, 어머니, 오빠, 저예요. 네, 아버지, 어머니, 오빠, 저예요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Ji-hoon Jeon, Ben's classmate. You have a father, mother, and an older sister. Ready?
지훈 씨의 가족이에요?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요. 네. 아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Kaun Kim, Ben's classmate. You have a father, mother, older sister, and a younger brother. Ready?
가은 씨의 가족이에요?
네, 아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네, 아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요. 네, 아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요.
This is the end of this lesson.
Remember, these can-do lessons are about learning practical language skills. What's next? Show us what you can do. When you're ready, take your assessment. You can take it again and again, so try anytime you like. Our teachers will assess it and give you your results.
Now you know how to talk about your family in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Now you know how to talk about your family in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Korean ebook before it's gone.